solution. Some of the chunks are look like just solid chunks of gold. Most of it's broken up. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this in Aqua Regia, but first I'm going to filter off this solution to get all that silver solution out, and I'm going to put it in. Let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to filter it out in this and try not to get a lot of the gold in here. Some of it might go in here, but that's okay because this is going to go back in my waste bucket. That's what I'm left with. You see there's still some big chunks of gold, but it looks like most of the metals I got off. I'm going to add some distilled water to this. And I'm going to rinse it out again. To try to get out as much of the silver as you can. And that's what I'm left with. Now I'm gonna put this back on the heat, and I'm gonna add some hydrochloric acid and some nitric acid and turn it into Aqua Regia. I'm gonna try to do this with as little acid as possible. So I'm gonna add 50 milliliters of hydrochloric, and then I'm going to add just a little bit to get started, nitric, about 5 to 10 milliliters. Turn the heat on, put the plate over it, and then get dissolving the gold. before I forget, I'm going to add a few drops of sulfuric acid, if there's any lead in that, to get that out. I'm going to add just about 5 more milliliters of nitric. And I'm going to let that continue to cook off. So I'm in uncharted territory. I've never done this before, and I'm left with something I'm not quite sure of. That little piece there, I think, is still, let me see if I can focus better. That little piece, I think, is still undissolved gold, so I'm going to put more aqua regia. But these little white crystals, I don't know if that's from the silver. I don't know what that is, but this little bit of gold, I'm going to put back on here, and I'm going to add more aqua regia while I continue to filter this off. So I'm hoping one of you more experienced people out there can tell me what this is. There's two, let me rinse some water in here so you can see better. There's 2 chunks of metal that didn't dissolve, but there's all these white crystals. Are those salts, or are they little pieces of silver, or does anyone have any idea? I'm going to save these 2 scrap pieces of metal. I couldn't get them to dissolve, but I'll save them, and maybe I'll melt them up later and put them into like thin little cornflakes with some more scrap metal and see if I can dissolve it. But any ideas would be grateful. I'm going to take this, it's filtering, I'm going to put it in a beaker, and then I'm going to put some SMB and drop it. I'm going to add a little bit of urea first, in case there's any excess nitric acid. I went a little heavy with the nitric, trying to dissolve that little bit of metal that I couldn't get to dissolve. The urea doesn't look like it's having much of a reaction, so there must not be any free nitric. I am going to add my SMB and drop the gold. And remember, I know I've said this before, when you add SMB, it puts off some nasty vapors. So even though I'm outside, it still puts off some nasty vapors. Oops, I dropped a little bit. That should be good. I'm going to let that sit, and then we'll do a stannous chloride test to make sure that there's no gold still in solution. I'll do a stannous chloride test to make sure I have all the gold out of solution. All right, no reaction. And I decided, since I'm not very good at decanting it, since the particles are so fine, and you end up having to chase your refines over and over and over, I'm going to filter this out. So I'll get all the gold powder in the filter. Because there's so many really fine particles. And I feel like I'm constantly chasing my tail. So I'm going to filter this out and I'll be back. So look at this. It's causing this weird layer to form in my silver waste. I'm hoping someone that actually knows what they're doing, that's looking at this video, can tell me. I don't know if it's the cold water causing silver to come out of solution. I don't have a clue what that is. But I've never seen anything like that. So hopefully one of you guys can comment on this video, because I don't know what's going on. Here's a better view. Look at it. It's causing like like little balloons of something. Any idea would really, really help me for the future. This is real time too. So I'm filtering it off. This is what I'm left with, this gold powder. I'm going to boil some distilled water in here, put it on the heat, kind of clean it up a little bit more, and then I'll continue filtering it out. And then I'm going to pour off the distilled water, put it on the heat with some hydrochloric acid, and then filter it again, and then repeat with distilled water to kind of clean this up. All right, crossing my fingers that I have enough MAP gas. I'm getting a little low, so I'm going to heat this up and see what we're left with. Just added some boric acid. All right. It looks pretty clean, actually. Let me see if I can get this in some better light, and I'll put this on the scale. I don't know what this little white streak is on top. I think I'm going to heat this up again, but it looks pretty good overall. Let's get this on the scale. It actually looks pretty good. It looks like it might be like 2 or so grams. Oh my goodness, never mind. 5.13 grams. Jeez, it's way more than I expected. So 5.13 grams from some of my waste bucket solution that I turned into metal, and then I pulled the gold out of it. All right, thank you for watching. All right, in this video, I'm going to be melting 2 pieces of pure gold together that's already refined. So let's see, this one is 23.34 grams, and with this one, we are at a total of 28.46 grams. So I'm going to go ahead, get this in a melting dish. And heat it up. It's going to take a little bit to melt because it's a decent amount of gold. I was running out of gas there. Let's put this in some water, cool it off. And let's see what we're left with. with me. All right, this is what we're left with. Refined 24 karat pure gold. Let's get a weight on it. 28.47 grams. I'm almost to my first troy ounce of refined gold.